done for talking.
Yeah. What's up, guys? This is back for week 3 of the podcast for Fantasy Football and Chill. I'm Austin. I'll pass it off to the remainder of us to kind of introduce themselves for today.
Okay. Josh.
Jason.
All right. We're going to start off with a little bit of a hot topic. Jason just kind of prompted us with this talk, which was the running back situation in LA. So, I'll let Jason
take it over.
Yeah, I'll let Jason talk more about it.
We were just discussing, we're trying to figure out what exactly is going on in the Los Angeles Rams backfield, because I think everybody kind of saw Henderson as a running back 1, and there was a surprise cut. He got cut, I believe it was yesterday, and he hasn't been picked up by anybody, and we know that there's been a lot of, not a lot of trust with Sean McVay and Cam Akers this year. So everybody's trying to figure out, are they going to pick up Melvin Gordon? Are they going to stick with Cam Akers? Are they going to pick up someone else? But I guess originally everybody thought Melvin Gordon was going to be the guy, but he went unclaimed on waivers. So it sounds like Cam Akers is going to be RB1. What do you guys think?
Tagging along with that, from the briefing that I did read about Cam Akers, it does say that they're anticipating him to be the running back 1 for this weekend. They haven't disclosed if obviously they're not intending to run a split carry with him and their backup. But at this current moment in time, it seems that they are planning to lead with him, even though he hasn't lived up to Sean McVay's expectations in the weeks past.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I think it's still a little bit too early to say that they're not going to sign Gordon. I think they still probably could do that in the next couple of weeks.
Well, it seemed like you found it a little bit funny how Josh was tossing his AirPod case up in the air as he was saying that.
Yeah.
For
Josh is the ultimate fidgeter.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for all the viewers who are unaware, Josh,
their backup is Kyron Williams.
I've seen that he's been recently getting a lot of additions. He's been added to a lot of rosters as of recently, and I feel like he wouldn't be a terrible option to possibly add if you have like a 5th spot open on your bench, or maybe you're willing to risk to take a possible boom for these upcoming playoff weeks. But we'll talk more about waiver options later on. Let's kind of dive.
Real quick, Austin.
What's up?
I was just to touch on that. So do you feel like Cam is going to be a workhorse, or do you think it's going to be more of a running back by committee situation?
That's a good question. I feel like Cam Akers is probably going to end up taking a majority of carries, but I still think it'll be like a committee. I want to say it's probably going to be like a 70-30, maybe even closer to 65-35. And I think he's probably going to end up with, because they're playing, I want to say Kansas City this weekend. You want to double check that? I'm pretty sure they play Kansas City this weekend.
Yeah, they're playing KC.
Yeah, they're playing Kansas City and then Seattle the following weekend.
So let's evaluate the factors. I'm pretty sure Stafford isn't anticipated to play this week. So their backup is playing. I forgot what his name is. Oh fuck. I'm drawing a blank. Let me pull that up. The Rams, they have their backup, so I'm not anticipating this to be much of a competitive game.
Perkins.
Yeah.
John Wolford?
No. Josh had it right.
That's John Wolford.
Bryce Perkins.
It was Bryce Perkins. He was the one who played last week, and I'm pretty sure they're probably going to stick with him as well.
Okay.
But I don't think it's going to be a competitive game this week. So I'm thinking that even if he does end up running the ball, which probably might happen because I don't know how much they're going to trust their quarterback to be throwing the football. It's not going to be productive. It's going to be heavy stack in the box. I think it's going to be a tough week for LA's offense. So if there's any team to kind of stray away from, and for any players, even if he does get a majority of carries, it won't be efficient unless they learned how to block in this week somehow, some way.
Yeah, the Rams also have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, especially the interior.
Yeah, and if we're
Yeah, and that man, that man Chandler Jones is crazy.
Yeah, if we're compounding that with the fact that they have no pass attack, you're just asking for them to get stuffed for 1 to 2 yard gains constantly. I anticipate if you have a league where you have a punter for some odd some reason, pick up the Rams punter this weekend. Either that or the Bears, which we'll talk about later on.
This is giving me like Saquon a couple of years ago vibes, kind of where that Giants offense just could not move the ball, and that man was just getting negative yards every carry.
I feel like that's a good comparison in situations, but Cam Akers does not. I feel like Cam Akers has kind of flushed away his potential, unlike Saquon.
Oh, I'm not talking about. I'm just saying situation. I'm not saying Cam Akers is nowhere near Saquon.
I hear you.
Word.
Segueing away, let's briefly talk about last week's matchups. So looking over what happened last week, because we didn't do a little Sunday recap, we'll start on Thursday. I will start us off, and then I will pass it along on matchups that I see. So,
you want us to take over Thursday because it's Green Bay?
Yeah, actually, you two. If I'm pretty certain you two would love to talk about fucking Thursday, wouldn't you?
Josh, you want to start?
Sure. Well, let me just go and start by saying it was a terrible game. But I mean, Tennessee's pass game was just completely different than what it has been all year, and I think that's one because Derrick Henry just wasn't moving. I mean, he was moving the ball pretty good, but not as good as what they usually do. Not what they hope for, So they had to pass more, and we were just playing prevent and like cover 2 the entire time. If we weren't stacking the box trying to stop Henry, but so they went crazy on us. So Treylon Burks, I mean, he looked really good. Ryan Tannehill looks really good. I mean, I don't know if that's them. I don't know if they're going to turn around that offense and you start getting a lot more yards to the air. But I don't know. I think it's just kind of a fluke because the Packers defense played so terrible. So I wouldn't really go looking to pick up Ryan Tannehill I mean, Burks is probably a pretty solid option to maybe put in your flex or, have on the bench just in case. But I would still think that Tennessee is going to be a really run-heavy team.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to take a little bit of a victory lap here and just say that my pickup of the week boom of the week was actually Treylon. And I think the most points he put up all year was like, what was it, 8 points maybe? And he put up just under 19 this week. He had 111 yards, 8 catches. Should have had a touchdown. He missed the end zone at the end of the game by, I think, like 2 or 3 yards. He went against Jair Alexander for part of the game, and he was getting open. He beat him deep on that one at the end of the game. And yeah, I think Green Bay, one positive I saw from them is that they showed the ability this week to actually move the ball. I'm not saying that they're a good offense, but I think their offense is at least functionable. And I really, really like what I see from Christian Watson right now. He's looking like a real, I'm not going to say, I don't know if he's like a firm starter right now, but I would say I would trust him to be in the flex right now. And maybe in some deeper leagues, a receiver too. I'd feel pretty confident because it seems like he's probably going to get a touchdown at least one the rest of the year. Just about every game, I'd say, because they're really feeding him the ball right now. But like Josh said, I don't think their offense is all that. I think it's more just Green Bay's defense was horrendous, and that's all I'm going to say on that.
That's some fair analysis. I was actually gonna kind of tag into that, but it seemed that you summed up the question I was gonna ask. I was gonna say, do you think, if you're facing the Packers, like let's say AJ Brown this upcoming week, do you think he's a definitive wide receiver 1 because of the matchup?
Yeah, so I think AJ Brown personally, I think he's a top. God, I think he's just right outside the top 5 receivers in the NFL. I'm not talking about fantasy, but just in general. And we've seen now it seems like every wide receiver one that goes against Green Bay, they're on the opposite side of Alexander. They put them in the slot. These offensive gurus or coordinators, whoever's calling the plays, they're moving them away from Alexander. And we don't really have a good cornerback two right now because Stokes is out. And Douglas, I mean, I think Douglas is very streaky. He has good stretches, and then he has stretches where he's more of a guy that gets a lot of turnovers, but I don't think he's definitely not a lockdown corner. So yeah, I'd say I would start AJ Brown, and I wouldn't be surprised if he put up like 25, 30 points this week. Because that Green Bay defense they have a lot of problems and a lot of injuries.
Yeah, I was gonna say because from the last 4 or 5 weeks, CeeDee Lamb, we had Treylon. I think it's just been consistent. Stephon Diggs, these guys have consistently put up 20 points. So I just feel like that was kind of a talking point, and it just seems like defensively, the Packers aren't scheming their guy to be on the best guy, or offensively they're just scheming him away. I can tell the either or, but there's a little bit of both.
They don't play man coverage. That's the other thing. They don't play man. They play like cushion defense. They'll be like 3rd and 1, and they're playing 10 yards off the ball. Their corners. It's mind numbing. So yeah, I would definitely whoever the wide receiver one is, that dude's gonna get 20 points.
That dude's gonna get 20 points
or more.
All right.
Agree.
Moving into some other matchups of the week, I'm going to talk about the Bears-Falcons matchup. Talking about teams glorifying making players look better. The Bears somehow, some way made Marcus Mariota look like a suitable quarterback last week. And I'm not exactly sure how, but Cordero, the run game wasn't that dominant. I was anticipating a lot more run production, but it seemed that the Bears learned how to play defense on the run. They just forgot how to defend the air from a guy who will be rolling on the ground and still trying to throw it. So it's kind of, it's a tale of one bad and one good, and it's either really bad in the run or really bad in the pass. But on the flip side, Justin Fields had another solid fantasy day. I think he put up 22 points. The running back production, I think David found the end zone for the first time in a couple weeks, and he might have surpassed about 10 points. He probably got to about 12 to 14. And receivers, I mean, it just seems like a new guy is just going to end up getting maybe. Darnell Mooney had a solid game. If I'm not incorrect, he should have had 2 touchdowns, but Justin just missed him on a deep ball by a couple yards. But the Bears receiving core is just Chase Claypool hasn't been implemented, even though they sent away a 2nd-round pick for him. Darnell's finally getting more opportunities, but it feels limited because Justin Fields is kind of more focused on getting yards through the ground than through the air. So from a fantasy standpoint, Fields is not a bad option if he didn't tear his non-throwing shoulder. He didn't tear a ligament in that. But other than that,
out this week?
He's still questionable. They haven't disclosed it yet, but I wouldn't say he's gonna be in the best shape for this upcoming week with that tear. So we'll learn more as the week progresses.
You. How do you feel about Cole Kmet? He's looking like he's been coming on.
So Cole Kmet to me is similar to Christian Watson in a sense where he's super touchdown dependent, and it seems like he has a good connection with Justin Fields. But the issue I have with the receivers and tight ends with Chicago is like you don't know what the scheme is going to be playing for that day. Like Cole Kmet, yeah, he had 4 targets last week, and I think he had 3 receptions for about 34 yards, and he had 1 gnarly catch. But like, it's hit or miss, and if you have the ability to take that risk, and Justin Fields is healthy this week, I wouldn't be opposed to starting him against. Oh, who do we play? The Jets.
I mean, outside of
Against
like those
Flacco.
top 3 tight ends, the only tight ends that are worth anything, Kittle, Kelsey, and Andrews.
Hmm.
I think every other tight end is pretty much going to be about the same amount as far as fantasy goes. Any other tight end, Komet, Conklin, Evan Ingram, I mean, you name it, they're all going to get about 10 points. I mean, sometimes they'll do a lot less, but I mean, I don't think outside of those 3 tight ends, you can really go wrong with any of the other guys as far as fantasy. I mean, it's just a trash position right now, if you ask me.
I think it's a valid point. I mean, yeah, you have weeks where no name, I wouldn't say no name, but guys who are without or outside the top 10 of tight ends end up putting up 15 to 20 points. And then you have weeks where it seems that only the top 3 will even touch 10 points. So it's like, it's hit or miss. And tight end is such a frugal position. So it's like, it's difficult to take that bet. But with what Josh says, if you don't have the depth at that position, sometimes you have to take that risk. And Cole Kmet's not a bad option. But with Justin Fields possibly being injured, and I'm pretty sure Trevor Siemian being the one throwing the rock on Sunday, if not, I would probably go to a connection that a tight end already has with a quarterback. So like Dawson Knox isn't a bad guy. Evan Ingram.
Njoku's coming back.
Yeah, he was there last week, but he was still like just readjusting. But
yeah, Fred McBride, the rookie.
He's a good option. The issue I have is like
a lot of weapons in that offense.
There is Rondell Moore. What happened with him?
Yeah, hurt in the
first play.
Yeah, he hurt his
groin.
He's having
a good year too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his groin.
Yeah, he was having a good year, but it's not as many mouths to feed anymore. But it's just like, who's feeding them now?
I don't think is he done though, or is he hurt for a minute?
No, Kyler's healthy. But how many guys do they have? They have Robbie Anderson, D Hop, Rondell Moore, Marquise Brown. They had Zach Ertz.
AJ Green.
How many?
Yeah, AJ Green.
AJ, is he still on the team?
Yeah, he
is. The wide receivers do you need?
Who's the one that's like Dolchich or something?
Greg Dulcich.
Yeah, Dortch.
Dortch. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
he had a good game.
He had they have.
They have 6 receivers.
Send Green Bay 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're going to be busy this offseason getting rid of all them players.
What are you talking about, dude?
You talking about Arizona?
Yeah.
Who are they playing this week? Anybody know?
Chargers.
Yeah.
Chargers?
Mm-hmm.
I'm anticipating.
Maybe the Chargers will finally get a win.
Yeah, so I think the Chargers are one of those teams right now that a lot of people are not going to see as being like contenders, but I think they're, I don't know about long term. Like, I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but because they have too many injuries. But you get Keenan Allen back. They just played the last 2 weeks. I think they played arguably 2 of the best teams in the NFL. They played Kansas City, and we saw how close they were to beating Kansas City. And the week before, they nearly beat San Francisco, who looks like possibly the best team in the NFC right now. I think the Chargers are an underdog. I think they're the real deal. I think the only thing holding them back is they don't have Joey Bosa. They haven't had Keenan Allen for almost the entire year. They've had a lot of injuries. I believe they lost their who's their stud left tackle?
Oh my God!
Who got hurt? You got Slater?
Yeah.
Rashawn Slater?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've been very beat up, But I think if they were healthy right now, I think they'd be competing in the AFC for sure for a top seed. And even though they're not completely healthy, I still think they're probably going to sneak in as a wild card.
Kind of talking about playoff positions, I say we do a little bit of a prediction for this upcoming playoff. What's you guys' thoughts on the tops? Is it 6 or it's 7, right?
7.
Yeah. Let's do a prediction amongst all of us. We'll do who we're thinking wins each division, and then our 3 wild cards. we'll start off with the NFC. I'll let Cade start it off.
Let's look up the standings so I just kind of have an idea where he's at. Okay. I think it's two. You can't really call the AFC East. I mean, good lord, that one's going to be an interesting one at the end. I think the Dolphins will probably end up closing that one out. Do the Dolphins and Bills play each other one more time?
I believe so.
I
Yeah,
would imagine so.
they should.
So I mean, that game might be like the deciding factor on who wins that AFC East. But I think the Dolphins are looking the best right now, so I'll probably just go with the Dolphins right there. I don't want to overthink it too much because I think you can go with any team, maybe not the Jets, but Patriots seem to have a little bit of a role right now. But AFC West, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. I mean,
Can't say that's a hard
you can't
one.
not go with the Chiefs. Yeah, and we'll go AFC North. I think the Bengals are someone to keep an eye on. Ravens are at the top of the division, 7-3. Bengals are 6-4. I mean, I think the Bengals will be pretty good. I think once they get everybody healthy, once they get Jamar back, and Mixon was out this week with, was it injury or sickness or something?
He got concussed in the middle of the game.
Okay. So yeah, concussion took him out, and actually saw a great possible waiver wire pickup in Perrine.
Who are we talking about?
Joe Mixon.
The Bengals. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Perrine kind of elevated his game and stepped up for them. Actually, the Bengals and Steelers played last week, and it's a pretty fun game to watch between the two of them, 37-30. Good little shootout. And so I'd say I'd go with the Bengals there in the AFC North. I think they'll start getting rolling as soon as you get the guys healthy. AFC South, I'm going to have to go with the Titans. I mean, nobody else in that AFC South excites me in any sort of way, so I'll go there with that. National Football Conference, National Football Conference. It's weird. In the East, that's another one. Why is the East just packed with teams? Eagles, I think, are going to be my pick. I think they're solid on both sides of the ball. So I'll go with the Eagles there with the Cowboys. NFC West, give me the 49ers. I mean, they look dangerous. I think they can beat anybody at any moment. They have all the right pieces, I think, and they are building towards a really good Super Bowl run. And the North, the Vikings, I think that's pretty obvious in that one. I don't think the other three really have a chance this year. And then, man, that South, jeez. I would want to say the Saints, but man, they just can't get going. Falcons suck.
Just straight up. Falcons suck.
I don't want to go with the Bucks, but
you know it's the Bucks.
I feel like it's gonna be the Bucks. You can't go against Tom Brady. He's gonna figure out a way to be in the playoffs. Probably a wild card position.
No, they'll make it as the division leaders because their division sucks.
True.
I think it's saying like they'll have to play in the wild card round.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think that would be my picks.
All right. Well, passing it on to everybody else, I'm gonna do it in a different format, just so we're all interacting in this. So I'm gonna name a division, and then we're gonna pass it off and see who we're gonna do, and then we're gonna do wild card picks as a group at the end. So the NFC North, I'm gonna start it off.
Minnesota.
Fuck the Vikings, but yeah, truth be told, we're gonna have to go with them. What's your thought, Josh?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be the Vikings.
Yeah, none of us.
But they're gonna be first round exit.
I second that. None of us want to see that, but
hey, there's just something about the Vikings and the Bears. Whatever reason, when they have a good year, they always miss field goals in the playoffs to win the game. Remember, it happened in the Vikings against Seattle in the wild card, and then I
Stop
wouldn't
right
talk about
there.
the Bears.
Stop right there. We all know that. We all know what happened. You don't need to remind us. Anyhow, NFC West. I feel like we're gonna have a consensus here as well. You were praising the Niners earlier, and I agree.
Yeah.
I think
I
personally,
don't think the
That's my typical
Seahawks.
thing.
I don't think the Seahawks are anything worth compared to the 49ers are.
No.
I think Pete Carroll built himself a solid squad. I just don't think it's sustainable.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I feel like you could see almost like a Seahawks and Bucks and sort of like a wild card situation.
We'll dive into
I'm
that in a
thinking-
sec.
I'm taking San Fran to win it all this year.
I like it. It's a good
Bold.
bet.
I think that's a
No,
solid take.
I don't think it's that bold. I think they're just.
I think it's
they're
pretty
setting
bold,
up
but I
for
think
a-
KC is gonna freak this run.
Well, that's what I have them playing. I have San Fran and KC, but I think San Fran. I just like how their offense matches up against Kansas City's defense.
Yeah,
I-
I mean, I know it's
McCaffrey added the
early in the season, but KC they destroyed the San Francisco at home.
Yeah, I know, but now you get McCaffrey. You know, he's actually
Yeah.
going to be involved now, and that's just Debo, McCaffrey, and Kittle. That's scary. And then you still have that defense, which is probably top 3, and Jimmy G is
Yeah.
playing lights out right now.
Yeah, and don't sleep on Ayuk. I think he's a beast.
That too. Yeah.
Moving away, because I want to talk about. We'll talk about Super Bowl matchups later on. We'll get to that, but the NFC East, I think the Eagles are a great forerunner personally, but I think the Eagles aren't as sustainable as they look. So if they don't win it, and I hate to say this too, I think the Cowboys will probably find their way into that 1 seed, and that really sucks to say, but the Giants aren't sustainable. If they can't run the football, or if they're not winning in a game, they're like utterly screwed. We saw that against the Lions last week. But I'll pass it off to you two. What's your thoughts on who's winning that division?
Anybody?
I think it's gonna be Eagles just because of how good their record is right now.
Yeah.
But I definitely think Cowboys are a better team and that they will go further in the playoffs than Philly will.
I agree. I was just gonna say their schedule.
I don't know what the matchups are going to be, but I could see the Cowboys in the NFC Championship.
I think the Eagles will finish out with a better record. I think they play the Packers, then they go play the Titans, then they go Giants, Bears, Cowboys. So that'll be interesting. That could be a very deciding game. And then they go Saints and Giants to finish up. I think they'll beat the Packers. They beat the Giants twice. They'll beat the Bears and the Saints. And so they might lose against the Titans. They're at home. They had to go play the Cowboys. I guess they could lose those two. And I can only see those 2 losses. So it would be, what is that, 13, 14, and 3?
14 and 3, yeah.
Yeah. So
they don't look like the Iron. I feel like the first 7 weeks of the year, they look like an Iron Man. They look like they could push through everything, and they look strong. But the last 2 weeks, like Houston and Washington, I'm sorry, the prior 2 weeks, they won last week.
Indy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Indy.
Even against Indy, they look like a shell of themselves, and I'm kind of like, I'm questioning, like, I don't think the winning's getting to their head, but I'm thinking teams are finding them out and figuring out what they need to do against them.
yeah.
So I'm wondering, with this much spotlight on them, are they able to push through it? Are they like a Kansas City type team that can just move through this kind of pressure? I don't think so either. So I think, yes, they might win, but I just don't think they'll win enough. I think the Cowboys have more higher head of steam, and I think they'll pass them. But that's, again, personal thought.
Yeah.
So Austin, to kind of add on to that, I remember a couple of years ago you were talking about when Green Bay was like 13-3. You said they were the worst 13-3 team you've ever seen,
Mm-hmm.
and they got exposed in the NFC Championship against San Fran. They got blown out. I kind of feel a little bit similar with Philly. I don't want to discredit them because starting off 8-0, it doesn't matter how easy your schedule is. You still have to play 8 professional football teams, and that's not an easy thing to do. But yeah, they have not looked good in the last couple of games. and I could definitely see them being like a one and done team. And I wouldn't be surprised. I think they're 2.5 games ahead of the Cowboys because they have the tiebreaker. But the Cowboys look like a much better team.
Hmm.
But I still think Philly takes that division just because I don't see them losing 3 games.
Yeah.
My issue with that is I don't think Nick Sirianni's done a good job of adapting these last couple weeks. I feel like it's just like they're not doing a good job implementing Miles Sanders, allowing a solid run game, even with Kenneth Gainwell. You would think they should be able to implement those two, but I feel like every week Jalen Hurts is like their best running back, and it's like that's not sustainable. Allow your 2 guys that you pay at running back to explode, to at least allow yourself to free up the pass and allow your playmakers like AJ and Devontae and even like Quez Watkins to make plays. And obviously, they were talking about how they shut down 25% of their playbook because Dallas Goedert's out. Like, obviously, that's going to play a significant role as well. So it's like,
how long is he out? Is he out for the year?
That's a great question.
I think he'll probably be back for playoffs.
Yeah,
okay, so that's a good sign.
Just
but they've become too Jalen Hurts dependent. I was talking to Josh about that. I don't want to say last week. They were running the ball like a lot to start the year, and Jalen was playing really good within the structure of the system. But now they're asking him to improv and play off schedule and do things more like guys like Mahomes and Allen and Rodgers do. And it's just he's showing that he doesn't have the same abilities as those guys. And I think they need to go back to like what San Fran does with Garoppolo. Just kind of play within the structure, run the crap out of the ball, and just don't make mistakes.
To the other playmakers.
I haven't watched the Eagles a ton this year, but what I've noticed about Jalen Hurts is if he can't run and he has to escape the pocket, he's done for. He doesn't make those passes. He either throws it into the stands or he just throws something terrible. So, I mean, a lot of the time, he'll run way too far back. He'll run like 20, 30 yards back and sometimes take a sack. Or, like I said, I saw him get that intentional grounding call. I mean, he just he doesn't know how to escape the pocket and throw a dime like a lot of the great quarterbacks do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a great point to tag into. It's Jalen Hurts is kind of touched upon of being a top 5 quarterback this year, but it seems that he really doesn't have the caliber of top 5 other than being system. He's like Jimmy G in my eyes, where he's not truly a top 5 quarterback in this league. He just happens to be in a top 5 system to support him. And so
top 15, in my opinion.
Top 5. He's like I feel like you can make a stand for top 10 in him being 10th.
No, you can. I think if you put every quarterback in equal situations and circumstances, I think there's for sure 10 guys that take over Hurts.
That's a fair point. Well, let's move along. The NFC South, I feel like we're gonna all come to a consensus that the 3 other teams competing with the Bucs don't deserve to be in the same division together because they suck that much. Like, the NFC least should be like the NFC South. That shit is just terrible. These 4 teams, I mean, like, yes, the Bucs are turning it around, but before, like, last 2 weeks, they couldn't run the ball if, like, I was in the other end stopping them. Like, it just, like, it's absurd. Their run production was some of the worst in NFL history. And, like, Rachaad White is allowing them to find gaps and creases, but other than that...
Are you that good of a safety?
I think they're that bad at offensive line.
You have fun tackling him.
I'll take out Lenny, that 260-pound fucking truck.
That man showed up to training camp at almost 270, apparently.
That dude is literally a fucking whale.
He's turning into Eddie Lacy.
Yeah, but he gets back in shape. Eddie doesn't.
Oh, Eddie Lacy. How that man fell off.
Miss him.
He had a good prime. It was very short, but he had a good prime.
Yeah. Because
A lot
that's-
of running backs turn out like that. Not they don't all get fat and get where they can't even lift their legs in front of one in front of the other, but
They get Todd
Yeah,
Gurley,
they
or
have-
they get.
I feel like
arthritis or
3
something.
years is pretty much the average for a running back.
moving
Yeah.
to the AFC, and then we'll talk a little bit more into wildcard teams. The AFC North, I feel like, is, as Cade said, I feel like it's the Bengals' chance to surpass the Ravens. I don't think Lamar Jackson can do enough to keep this team ahead of the Bengals, personally.
I'm taking the Ravens.
I don't know. I think that's gonna be out of all the divisions. I honestly think that those two teams are gonna have it's gonna be a dogfight
Yeah, like the final
if
week.
one of
it's
them
gonna
doesn't
come
get a
down.
wild card or something.
The AFC
I just
East.
trust the Ravens more. Huh?
I was gonna
AFC
say,
East.
I feel like the AFC East kind of falls right into that same conversation as well.
Give me Buffalo. Give me Buffalo. I think they're more well-rounded, just all the way around.
We're talking about the AFC North.
No, I was just kind of comparing
think
that,
it-
but it just seems like Jay was taking a step into it, so we'll take a step with him. I think the Finns take that. I like Mike McDaniel's scheme. I don't think anybody can guard him. I think
I think give me the Dolphins too.
and I think
Okay, what about their defense? Pretty suspect.
do you know when Byron Jones is coming back?
I don't know. But I know he's been out almost a whole year.
Yeah,
Is
him
that
and Trey
correct? He's
White.
been out for a while. No, that defense has issues. Like they're seriously one of the worst in the NFL. And
It's getting better
Buffalo-
though.
I think when they're healthy, they're pretty solid. But I think the problem is they can't stay healthy on defense,
I think
and they don't have a lot of pieces compared to like Buffalo on defense.
that's fair.
But they
But
got guys. Don't get me wrong. They have like Jalen Phillips and Byron. Xavier's actually having kind of a down year.
Yeah.
But they got
The
Javon
biggest one they
Holland.
added was Chubb.
Bradley Chubb.
Yeah. So they do have a good pass rush, and Christian Wilkins is on the inside, and they got some pretty good linebackers. But I don't know. I want to see them healthy because if they're not healthy on defense, I think the Lions put up how many points on them? But the Lions also have a pretty good offense. So
Yeah, like 40
that's
something, right?
That's,
Or-
that's on. Yeah,
But
but I still think Buffalo takes that one just because I like Josh Allen and Sean McDermott a little bit more, quite a bit more. Just I think they're more well-rounded.
Would y'all agree that that's the best division in football right now?
Yes, yeah.
I think so.
I
I
feel
think
like
the NFC East is a little bit overrated.
I agree. I think the AFC East takes it hands down. I think kind of going back to the AFC North, I forgot the Ravens probably will win it because they got my boy Roquan there now. So like, I forgot about that.
Yeah, their defense is good.
The defense has become extremely good. I like Patrick. I like Patrick Queen. I think that's what his name is. Cal LSU.
Marcus
Queen or
Williams,
Quinn?
too.
What'd you say?
Queen, the linebacker, Patrick
Yeah.
Queen.
Yeah, I
Mm.
like.
And then
I
they
like.
got.
You're good.
I was gonna say they added in free agency. They added Marcus Williams. He was I want to say Pro Bowl safety. He was the one that led up the big play to Diggs in that playoff game, at the very end. That's like what he's known for, but he's a freaking safety. And I know at least like the first 4 or 5 games, he was playing out of his mind. He was the best safety in the NFL. I've been checked in with him lately, but I mean, Marcus Williams is a freaking amazing addition to that defense.
So my question
Still
to you,
got Humphrey
Jason.
there.
What kind of freaking safety do you have to be a freaking safety? Just out of curiosity.
So I think the big thing with Marcus Williams is when he was in New Orleans, they used him just to play like deep safety. That's all he played. Just don't let anybody beat you deep. I think after that Diggs play or whatever, they decided, all right, all you're gonna do is prevent guys from doing that to you again. And when he came over to Baltimore, he got the bag, and the system that he's in now, they really let him play freely, and they just let him kind of run back there and be more aggressive. Kind of like Austin, you know, we're talking about with like Eddie Jackson and Adrian Amos
Amos.
back. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it goes both ways. Amos. I don't think Packer fans even know because there's like a debate about his last name. But kind of like what they did in Chicago, where Amos was like the deep guy, and he kept everything in front of them, and then Jackson could just be aggressive and get turnovers. That's kind of what Marcus Williams is doing right now. And I know, like, to start the year, he started off with a lot of turnovers, and he was making plays all over the field. So I like that defense, and I like Marcus Williams in the system a lot. And Josh, is it Amos or Amos? What do you say?
Let's say Adrian Amos.
Amos?
Like famous Amos cookies.
Amos. Okay.
Give me
I don't
one
know.
second.
I saw a little off topic. I was gonna say one time I saw I want to say it was like his mom like recorded a video of him and said Amos. So ever since I called him Amos.
Yeah, that's
So
probably
it might
right.
be Amos.
Well, I have a bad feeling that the audio. I'm going to check the audio right now on our live. Something's giving me a bad feeling that something's fucked up about it.
Uh-oh.
I can hear you guys properly, and I'm pretty sure the stream can is. I'm just more worried about me being doubled.
Bless you, Cade.
Thank you.
Yo, chat. Let us know how we sound.
I wish there was anybody in there, so.
They probably left because they only heard Austin talking.
One day.
Nah, that's probably not it. They probably just heard my voice twice, and that's what I'm terrified about. I'm really hoping that my audio is not doubling.
Should we hop into our waiver wires?
Yeah, give me 1 sec. Actually, yeah, if you guys want to talk about it, you guys are free to do so.
Okay.
I guess I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wrap it up. Yeah, I think for my waiver wire pickup, I'm gonna go with Latavius Murray over in Denver. I think he's rostered in 25% of leagues, so like heavily available, and he's like in the last couple of weeks have just risen to being their running back one, and after they've gotten rid of Melvin Gordon, I think he's just gonna see the playing field for almost every snap. Chase Edmonds is still out on the IR, and their guy, I guess, is supposed to be their backup. I don't think it's much of a factor. I think they're just going to go with Latavius Murray for the rest of the year. Yeah, sounds right. So I'm going to go with Latavius Murray, and I kind of picked him up in a couple of my leagues, and I'm hoping he works out for me. He's I think he's going to be a good pickup because he's going to be playing a lot.
I don't think is he done though?
And he's only rostered in 34% of leagues right now. No, Kyler's healthy. But how many guys? So great pickup for sure. Robbie Anderson, D-Hop, Rondell Moore. Josh, who do you have? You know, I don't know about.
I was gonna say Latavius Murray as well, but the next guy I'll go with is either Rashad White or Elijah Mitchell. I think that they're not going to be crazy good. Like, I don't think even maybe 15 points. But I think, you know, in a deeper league, they could be a decent flex or just someone to pick up on your bench and see how they pan out. But I think Elijah Mitchell is getting, you know, he kind of doesn't get as many touches due to Christian McCaffrey. But the snaps he does play, he looks really good. I don't know. I think he's going to be pretty touchdown dependent, but they whenever they get up, if they start to take some leads, he'll definitely get more touches. But that's what I got.
Gotcha. Jason, if you want to take it next.
Yeah, you want to go? Because I'm debating between two guys, so I'm doing a little bit of research. You have yours, Austin? If not, I can go.
I got you. I'll take it right from here. My guy, I believe, is supplied to my source of sleeper in 25% of leagues. It is Sky Moore. Now, I wouldn't say he's going to be a definitive step like Watson or anybody who's on the up and up, but I think Sky Moore will see more production. And I'd also say Isaiah Pacheco, but unfortunately I think he's well above 50% now. But I think Sky Moore is going to see more receptions with Kadarius Toney being out, with MVS being kind of questionable and inconsistent. So it's like, and McCole Hardman, I don't know how he is, but I think Sky Moore should be seeing some more touches or some more attempts this upcoming week. Attempts, receptions. That's the proper term.
Okay, so last week I want to take another victory lap because I said pick up Jimmy G, and he had his best week of the season. He had 25 points. I don't think that's going to continue, but I do think that Jimmy G is playing well, and I think he is a guy, again, people should pick up if they haven't already. But this week specifically, there's going to be a guy that will make Alex very happy, and we've been kind of making fun of him. But Donovan Peoples-Jones, I really like how he's been playing. Looking at his numbers, last week he put up 17, week before 15, and he's put up double-digit numbers 5 weeks in a row. And he's not touchdown dependent. He's only had one touchdown out of those 5 games, which is, I guess, good that he's not dependent, but also not good because he's not getting that production in the end zone. But I like Peoples-Jones, and I think he'd be a pretty good flex option, or even receiver 2 in some deeper leagues.
I like that one.
Do you know what his rostered percentage is in leagues?
Yeah, 40%.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's that low.
Seeing 57,
Yeah, pretty
but
low.
still available.
Yeah.
He's rostered in my league, unfortunately, or I would have picked him up.
How do you guys feel about Piron? Y'all think that was just a fluke, or y'all think that he's a decent pickup?
When is Mixon coming back?
Supposed to be
He's questionable.
He's concussion
Probably
protocol.
this week, though.
So
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch Piron then because concussions are usually pretty quick. Some guys get concussions Sunday and they come back for the next Sunday, you know.
yeah.
Yeah,
but
he'll probably be back.
we have to. Who's the Bengals playing this week?
Bengals play
So
Titans.
Bengals, yeah, Titans.
Yeah.
It's a 10 o'clock game.
They'll fast
10
track
o'clock
it.
Pacific.
After Tua's injury, the league has to obviously be more cautious about the concussion protocol. So I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Mixon doesn't play, but I don't think P. Ryan is a guy to
Starting.
yeah.
Yeah,
he's just-
depending on that, yeah.
even if he is the main workhorse, the Titans have a good defense, and I just don't think P. Ryan's that good. I think the Steelers were just kind of a good opponent for him to switch into.
Yeah, it turned into a track meet in that game.
That fellow young boy.
Should we go boom and busts?
Yeah.
Josh or
And then
Jason wants to
we
start?
have some Q&A. I have some Q&A questions after Boom and Bust if you guys want to go through a few and debate them.
I'm
All right, yeah,
looking for
go
it.
for it.
Boom and bust. This is gonna be interesting. I've literally done little to no research this week, so I'm just gonna have to look at matchups. So I'm gonna let Jay start off.
You want me to start? Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So my bust of the week is going to be Justin Fields. I know you guys laughed at me last week, but he was banged up. And, you know, give me 1 second. I'm going to tell my sister to stop playing the piano. I'm going to mute myself.
Poor Erica. She's just out here playing the piano. But passing this on, I'm gonna let somebody else take over, and then Jay can hop right back in when he's
Go ahead,
done.
Josh. If you're ready.
I can take
yeah.
it next if you're not ready, Josh.
Yeah, you go for it. I'm still debating on a thing.
Cool.
One
Dak's
thing.
gonna really love this. Jay, we took your spotlight because you had to go, so I'll take over from here.
Well, you didn't say Justin Fields, did you?
I'm
Okay.
taking my bus starting off, and I'm gonna say Josh Allen. I think it's a real surprise with him going up against the Lions defense, but he's just something about Josh
Wait,
Allen.
against the Lions?
Yeah, this is why it's even like it's a mind-blowing concept, but
I think this is a terrible take, but go ahead.
it is. It probably is, but just hear me out. So, Josh Allen,
What's the bust number? I gotta know because
it's
he's still
probably
gonna put up 20 points.
it's less. It's gonna be less than 20. It's probably gonna be like 15.
Hmm.
Because I feel like that's
Okay, you know what's funny, real quick?
I feel like that's a
That
fair
he's been in that
threshold.
stadium. He's been in that stadium 2 weeks in a row now.
Technically, no, he left.
No, they played him
Like
last week in the
Baker.
snowstorm.
Yeah,
Especially when they like Baker.
It was funny because they said if Allen wins this week, he'll have as many wins in Detroit as Jared Goff does. I thought
I
that was,
will.
but
I
anyhow,
will.
Is that real, or is that
that's
a joke?
actually
Gotta
a
be.
fact. Like I should
That's
you
a
know,
real stat.
that's a real stat. He will
Yeah,
have
because they didn't win a single game last year.
Wow.
So anyhow, Josh Allen. The reason why is because that man seems like he's trying to do so much, and it's like he went away from the simplistic pattern of run around and somehow find Stephon Diggs wide open. But now teams are kind of doubling up on him, and with his UCL, with his UCL injury and his right arm, I feel like it is kind of limiting him because it feels like his balls to Gabe Davis and Diggs aren't as premium as they were in weeks past. But this is kind of me just being annoyed that he sold my last week, so I'm going with him selling this week as well. And then for my boom, I'm going to go with Jeff Wilson. I feel like this is a simple one. The Dolphins are going up against the Texans, and the Texans have arguably the worst run defense in football. I think I saw that they give up 5.3 yards per carry, and the only one that's like equally as bad is the Browns. So I'm thinking Jeff Wilson. I like his production, his implementation by Mike McDaniel. I think he should have a good week. I'll pass it off to Jason to finish off what he was saying earlier.
Okay, so my bust of the week is going to be Justin Fields. I know I said that last week, and he's on my team, so I am rooting for him. But I just, with his injury, I don't know how severe his injury is, and Austin, you probably know more. But I do not like the matchup having to go to New York and play the Jets. That Jets defense is the real deal. And I think Robert Saleh, I think he's an amazing defensive coordinator, especially against young quarterbacks. And yeah, I don't see Justin having, like I said, I don't think he's gonna be terrible. I still think he'll get his rushing yards, but I see him going under 15 points this week, and I don't think he's gonna put up in the 20s or 30s like he has been. So maybe not a complete bust, but definitely I don't think he's gonna have a great week. And then my boom of the week is probably going to be, I'm going to go with DeAndre Hopkins. I like him going against the Chargers. J.C. Jackson obviously is out for the year, and they don't have that pass rush with Joey Bosa as much anymore, so it's not as dominant. And I think Kyler is supposed to come back this week. And I don't know, just maybe a gut feeling, but I really feel like DeAndre Hopkins is going to have a big week this week. I'm thinking he gets 10 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown or two.
I feel like
Go ahead, Josh. If you want. Or go ahead, Austin.
I was gonna say I feel like D Hop is a great safe bet. He's leading the league in reception since he's gotten back and targets.
Do you want more of an underdog?
No, I actually kind of tagging on since Justin Fields is questionable. I would like another bust possibly because I feel like if he doesn't play, it's kind of he's gonna play under his projections.
Okay, so my bust of the week, just thinking like off the top of my head, then I'm gonna go with. Let me check. Give me 10 seconds. I want to check one more matchup just to see.
I don't want to put you on the spot. I was just anticipating that if Justin doesn't play, since he does have a torn ligament in his non-throwing shoulder, it's a possibility. So, I would like for you to have a possible other option just in case.
Backup. Yeah. I'll go ahead and take the floor while Jason's. Are you still looking, Jason?
Yeah, I'm still looking. So you go ahead.
All right, I'll go ahead and take it then. So my bust of the week is going to be Saquon Barkley. They're playing Dallas. I think they're going to get pretty shut out. Dallas has the 4th ranked running defense, so I think Saquon's going to have another bad week, unfortunately for me. And then my boom is going to be Keenan Allen. They didn't really implement him much last week, but Arizona, I mean, we saw how many yards they let through the air, San Francisco and Mexico. And I think that, honestly, that whole wide receiver core is going to go pretty crazy against them. So, yeah, that's what I got.
Okay, are you ready, or should Kate take the floor?
No, I'm good. I'm ready. Okay. So my, I guess, bust of the week, I'm gonna go with. No, this isn't, I guess, like a superstar or anything. But I'm gonna go Daniel Jones. I know the Giants are, what are they, 6-4 right now? 6-3.
They're 7-3.
Okay, 7-3, so even better. I just don't see the Giants and Daniel Jones going against that front that the Cowboys have. And I know maybe not a ton of people are even starting Daniel Jones, but going against DeMarcus Lawrence, and they're bringing Micah Parsons off the edge, and they have that secondary and all those linebackers. I see him having a really bad week, and I think it's gonna kind of like what Josh was saying. I think it's gonna have like a trickle down effect where Saquon's not gonna have a good week. I think it's gonna be a bad week for Giants players in general.
I think so too.
I think my bust of the week is going to be Jonathan Taylor. He plays the Steelers, and yeah, I think he's projected like 15 to 16 points in most leagues, and I just don't think he's going to get that. I think we saw last week he wasn't too involved in that offense. I think it was what I was reading and seeing. People were pretty disappointed in JT not showing up once again as a fantasy player. And I think against the Steelers, especially prime time, and like I think said before, I mean, it comes down to the Steelers scheme and play defense really well. They hold teams to field goals and like just really clog up running lanes.
TJ Watt's back too.
Yeah. So like you have TJ back, and so I think he's not going to put up what he's usually going to do, and I think he's probably going to be a pretty bad bust at 6 to 7 points, and not do too much. With my boom, I'm going to stick with my waiver wire and go with Latavius Murray. Played Carolina this week, so I think that's even a better spot to why picking him up. He's projected like 12 to 13 points, and as our Denver's RB1, I think he might put up 20, 22, even 25. He could find himself in the end zone. Probably handing the ball off to him a lot. So I'm going to go with Latavius Murray as my boom.
All right, Austin, if you don't mind, I'm going to change my bust of the week. You kind of put me on the spot. Christian Watson. James Bradbury, Darius Slay. Yeah, James Bradbury, Darius Slay, Chauncey or CJ Gardner-Johnson. They're just, I think, he only goes by Chauncey, or he goes by CJ, but his name is Chauncey. I think they're going to lock his ass up. They've got too many good corners over there and too many good DBs, too good of a pass rush. Christian Watson, I think, is going to be like 1 to 2 catches this week. I think most of his catches are going to be them trying to force feed him. I do not see him getting in the end zone this week.
Solid takes. I'll have to make sure to write all these down. And just to let you guys know, for future episodes, I will be more prepared with graphs and stuff like that. I kind of just wanted the first week to be more of a test week. But this next week, I'll make sure to start putting up the information, letting you guys know what happened. But to give a brief summary of what did happen last week, don't tail any of our picks unless one of us is named Jason. Like, Jason was the only one who correctly predicted a boom. He also predicted the wrong bust. The same player did boom. So Jason predicted Treylon Burks to boom, as he did. He also predicted Jimmy Garoppolo to be a great waiver wire, and he was the 5th quarterback last week. So if you're tailing anybody, tail Jason. Cade was the only one to go
Not for my
negative.
bus.
Your bus boomed
Not for my
too.
bus.
Yeah, don't follow his bus.
Yeah.
Devontae Adam had a great week. So, but yeah, the only person who went in the negative was Cade, and it wasn't Cade's fault. Kadarius Stoney just got injured early on in the game. That was kind of a brief synopsis of what happened. But the waiver wires, I was first. Or sorry, Jason was first. I was second, I believe. Alex was third, Josh was fourth, and Cade was fifth because of the fact that, or no, it might have been flipped, but because your waiver wire didn't play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll throw up those stats up next week to give you guys kind of a rundown on what it's gonna look like and what you guys should possibly be tailing. But Jason did say he had some topics to talk about, so let's
Q&A.
let's do
Yeah.
a little Q&A, and I think that's gonna be wrapping it up.
Just a few questions from some people. And Josh and I had some questions we talked about just before the podcast. Yeah, so first question I want to start you guys with is, what do you guys feel like right now? How do you guys feel about Najee Harris? Because he kind of had a little bit of a bounce back week. He's been a bust all year, maybe the most disappointing player in all fantasy outside of Jonathan Taylor. But last week he had 27.6 points. He had, or in standard PPR, ESPN, he had 20 rushes, 90 yards, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns, and he tops off with 4 catches for 26. Are you guys buying the hype on Najee, or do you think he comes back to planet Earth? You guys can go around, and we'll start with Cade.
I think he's going to continue to kind of grow a little bit. I don't think he's going to be putting up 27. I think those end zone touchdowns in that track meet against the Bengals this last week propelled him even further. But I think he's going to start going above his average of 10 to 13 points, right in that range. I think he's going to start to get to that 15 to 18 point range consistently. Looking at his matchups coming up, I think he's going to continue to grow. Indianapolis will be tough this week, but you have Atlanta, Baltimore, Carolina, Las Vegas, Baltimore again, and Cleveland. So I think he's going to probably grow up a little bit into that 15 to 18 point solid running back range.
Yeah,
I can
agree with
get
that.
bored.
Jay, could you tell me that stat again? Did you run 20 times or 40 times?
Yeah, I was going
So
to say.
he rushed. Oh, did I say 40? I swear I said 20. Yeah, so he had.
I couldn't hear it.
No. Oh, I know what it was. So he had 20 rushes and 4 catches.
Yeah, I thought you said
Okay.
40, and I was like 2.5 yards per carry.
No,
is never
No.
providing
I was
statistic.
about to say he better get 27 points with 40 freaking rushes.
Yeah, no.
No, he had 26. Yeah, go ahead.
Najee doesn't scream running back 1 to me, and the only issue I have is I don't think the Steelers are going to get into consistent like track meets as Cade was using. I don't know if the Steelers can. I feel like the reason why he was able to get utilized a lot is because they were in competitive games, and the Steelers this year just don't strike me as a team that's been able to take the lead and or stay competitive with a lot of teams, even with favorable matchups.
They've got bad teams coming up, like Kid said, like Indy,
Yeah.
Atlanta.
The start of the year was tough, and I think they're going to finish out with a way easier schedule. But
I just don't. Something about Najee. Actually, now you say that, that kind of thwarts my whole point. So I think I'm just gonna have to hop onto your bandwagon. I think he will end up being probably like a 15 to 18 point guy. Then, if they're able to stay competitive in games, he's gonna continue to get force fed. And even if he can't read a hole, if it was opening up right in front of him, he'll find some yardages once in a while.
Yeah, I think he's a decent flex, but I would not put him at RB1 or RB2.
Okay, next
He
question.
deserves
If
it.
you guys are done with that one. Okay, so next question is from a user that is struggling in his league right now, finding a sustainable tight end. What do we do with tight end? Because we know tight end is an absolute just garbage right now, outside of 2 to 3 guys. Kittle, maybe, and then Andrews and Kelsey is in his own tier. What do you guys do at tight end to help this guy?
I'll
There's
start.
like no answer.
I'll start this off, and I feel like there's two answers. One's gonna, and they're both gonna be hard to take as a person in any fantasy league. But the first one, trade equity to get Travis Kelsey, because if you really want a reliable tight end, it's gonna take a lot to get one. And so if you don't have Travis Kelsey and or Mark Andrews and possibly George Kittle, even though there's a lot of mouths to feed there, you're gonna have to risk the week to week possibility that your tight end shows up or doesn't show up, because that's just how the tight end position works. Or two, you take your risks like everybody else does, taking a possible chance on betting on a waiver wire guy and hoping to God that he at least gets you 10 points, because that's just the tight end position. I feel like that's the truth of the position, and like not a lot of people want to hear that, but it's a lot harder to when only one guy usually goes out at that position compared to wide receiver, running back, quarterback. Or quarterback would be a similar situation, but it's just not a high scoring position. It's not a high targeted position. It's not an easy solution.
Mhm. I think you should look at, if you're one of those guys, which is like, I would say 80% of people in every league, it's just you pick up a different guy off the waivers every week. I mean, that's what I'm doing
Do you have any
in all,
any examples?
in all my
I think
leagues.
that's what they're looking for.
Yeah,
Any
and so I
guys in
think,
particular?
yeah, you should just look at their matchup. Look at their matchup, see if they've got a decent, or not rather a decent, but a bad defense they're playing against, and just take your best shot. Like I think Conklin could be a decent guy to pick up because the Bears defense is garbage.
The three guys I like at the tight end spot that it's kind of outside of those top three that we've been talking about. I mean, Dawson Knox is rostered on most teams, so if you can try to trade for Dawson Knox, if you want to have someone that's a little more reliable. The one guy I really like is Juwan Johnson, tight end for New Orleans. He's been like averaging above 10 for the last 3 weeks, 10 points. It's like rostered in 43% on Sleeper right now. I think that's probably a good place to look. I think Njoku is also a really good place to look if you can trade for him too. I know he's kind of heavily rostered. He's been playing well. I think those three guys are like the best bets at the tight end position right now. Because one, we have like injuries left and right these last 3 weeks, the tight ends, and then like we've been talking about, there's only 3 tight ends even worth mentioning in conversation.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Cade on that one. We actually have a guy in our league who likes to start 2 tight ends, so that's interesting. One at the flex and one at tight end, regardless of how bad the tight ends are every year. It's just Scott is a different animal. But I really like what Cade said about Juwan Johnson. I think he's probably the most reliable right now, and I think he's probably tight end 4 outside of the top few guys when Goddard and Ertz are out. And then I think one other option I mentioned earlier, maybe Trey McBride, because Zach Ertz got a lot of volume in that offense, and he was was he a first round pick or early second?
Second.
Okay, so I know he was a first tight end taken, I'm pretty sure. So I think that's another option. But anyways, we have another question if you guys are interested, is who are your guys' top 5 receivers for the rest of the year in PPR?
That's a great question.
I got number 1 Hill, number 2 Devontae Adams, number 3 Stephon Diggs, number 4 AJ Brown, and number 5 give me number 5, maybe give me that's a hard one.
You said Diggs
I
already?
don't know. Yeah, I already said Diggs. Maybe 5 Jamar Chase. He's coming back.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't think order matters. The question was kind of worded just like you guys had a tier of 5 guys, any order.
Yeah, those would be my 5.
Right there with you. I think Tyreek, JJ, Jefferson, and Diggs are like your top 3 right now. I think maybe D-Hop is something right now as he's becoming more and more involved in seeing so many targets. And then AJ Brown as well, I think, is another great one. So
I'm gonna follow it up with a similar list. D Hop, Justin Jefferson. I think Jamar Chase is, once he gets implemented back into the offense, is gonna go boom. Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs. I like those 5 guys.
Okay, I'm gonna go with DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, and maybe as like an honorable mention, Jalen Waddle.
I like
Fairly
it.
similar lists, all just with interchangeable pieces. Well,
Okay, we have 2 more questions. If you guys want to answer them, or if you want to answer one.
yeah, just to address something before
Okay.
you ask the question,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna write down all of our lists as well, and I'm gonna track them for the rest of the year, and I'm gonna see who ends up doing the best out of all of this. So we'll talk about that.
Okay. Okay, so this question is, the person is basically the guy saying that he can't seem to find a reliable defense. He's been kind of having to like stream different defenses every week. Who is some like a good defense that he could try to trade for or pick up on the waiver wire that will help him, I guess, for the playoffs coming up?
That is a great question. I feel like
You guys want me to start off, or do you
Yeah.
guys have answers?
shoot away.
Okay. So I guess a defense that I just picked off of the waivers a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure how available they are, but I got 2. So one is going to be the New York Jets. I thought they were kind of a fluke, but I picked them up, and they're looking pretty damn good. They're ranked 4 right now in my league, and the last 3 weeks they've put up 10, 10, and 11. And they've only had 1 week where they had negative. There's -1, and that was all the way back in week 2. I think they're a very good option. I don't know if they're going to be available in a lot of leagues, so I think defenses like Denver would be another good option. They're playing Carolina this week, and they're projected 8 points, 7.2. So I think if you're looking at this week, Denver would be a good option. You could probably get them. And there's some other defenses I'm looking at right now, maybe like a no, I'm just going to stick. I don't like the other defenses on the waiver, so I'm going to stick with Denver and New York Jets.
I like it. Yeah, I think if you can possibly trade for one of those top, 5 defenses, I think it's probably worth it. I mean, I think Cowboys, New England, Philly, even the Bills. I think those are all pretty solid ones to trade for, and I think you can get them for, I think people are a lot more willing to let go of a defense than they are, a wide receiver or something like that. So I think if you can give up some decent bench players for a top 5 defense, I think you should do it.
I like
Yeah,
Philly a
agreed.
lot. I think I have them in all my leagues as my defense. After that bye week, I streamed them in and still kept them on my bench because I still like Philly down the road. I think they have good matchups down the road. So yeah, I think Philly's very reliable. I think Dallas is starting to really show themselves as a tough defense to go up against. I think the Jets are, like you said, Jason. I think they're going to be pretty good. I think the Bills have been a little bit of a disappointment. I think they're like the number 1 defense going into the year. I mean, Bills were the number 1 team going into the year into fantasy. I know they've been banged up with injuries, but their defense is still reliable. It looks like. I'm kind of just looking at the points put up, and they're still on like the top 6 right here in points, fantasy points. I think Seattle's another good one. I think Seattle plays a tough defense. And New England is another one. I think that's kind of available. And I think they're just always tough to go against.
Yeah, New England's defense people sleep on it. I think it's one of the best ones in the league for sure.
Mm-hmm.
To wrap up this question, I feel like I'm genuinely surprised that I have the ability to say this as the first, but the San Francisco 49ers The fact that name has not been talked about with them getting most of their stars back healthy, and after the slaughter they put on the Cardinals in the second half, that is a great defense to sought after. Like, yeah, I think they play a majority of games at home this upcoming for the remainder of the season, and I'm thinking they're a great defense to search for. So if you're able to get that team, I recommend the 49ers for the rest of the season. And obviously, I think the Cowboys, Philly, I agree with them, but I feel like the Niners are a great team to sought after as well.
I agree.
Yeah, I like the
I just don't think they get a
ton.
ton of turnovers, you know. San Francisco doesn't.
Okay, we have one last question, and it is: if you guys had one sleeper to try to win you your fantasy championship that you can get off waivers or trade pretty low, like I don't want to say guys that have done nothing this year, but maybe guys around like the tier of like top 15 to 20 at receiver or running back, who is like the one guy you're pounding the table and say, I want to go get him because I think he's going to boom the rest of the year and help me win a championship?
I think
Austin,
if
you got
Keenan Allen can stay healthy, I think if Keenan Allen can stay healthy, he's a decent guy. I think you can get him for next to nothing. I just did in one of my leagues. And I think if he can stay healthy, that he's going to be having a really good rest of the year.
Okay. I got mine if you guys don't have one yet.
Get away.
Okay, so I'm pounding the table for Amari Cooper. That guy is ranked as receiver 10 right now in PPR. I don't think he has like a huge. I don't know. I don't think Amari's reputation right now is he's not like a Diggs or an AJ Brown. People kind of forget about Amari, and he's on the Browns, not playing in a great offense. That man put up 31.3 last week. His playoff schedule, I'll read it off to you. If your playoffs are weeks 15 through 17, it's Baltimore, New Orleans, and Washington. And then to add on to that, he's getting Deshaun Watson back. And we know how good Deshaun Watson is. Whether you like him as a person or not, on the football field, he's a damn good player. I'm going to say Amari Cooper all the way. You can probably get him pretty cheap, too.
I like it.
Okay, do you want to take next? I have two guys I'm thinking of.
Go ahead.
All right, talking about, I like two young guys. One being Isaiah Pacheco. I think the Kansas City is going to continue to throttle, and they're going to have great opportunities to start running, and he's going to start getting goal line touches. And I think he's a genuine sleeper. I picked him up last week, and I still think he's available in a good majority of leagues. If not, he's just a great option. And then my tag team with him, another young running back, Rachaad White. I like both of those guys. I think Rachaad White's going to start seeing more production, and by playoff time, I think he's going to be a legitimate running back one for Tampa Bay. I think Lenny's going to start getting phased out.
You mind if I ask you a question on that real quick, just to kind of play devil's advocate? So my question is, but for playoffs, do you trust either one of those guys because they're both in a committee? You know, I know Pacheco's probably RB1 in that offense, but do you trust him with having Clyde and having Jerick McKinnon there, and then obviously Lenny in Tampa Bay? Like, do you trust them to be starters, like in your flex or running back 2 or running back 1? Not running back 1, but running back 2 or flex.
So the issue, I actually do trust. I trust Isaiah more than I trust Rachaad White, and last week kind of added that kind of like trust to me. I think Isaiah had over 20 plus carries for 100 yards. Rachaad did the same, but that was because Lenny went down. And Clyde was healthy, if I'm not incorrect. They're moving away from Clyde Edwards. Jerick McKinnon was the only one who was also getting the ability to get touches.
On the IR, I believe.
Is he?
I think he went on the IR this week. I dropped him in one of my leagues.
Who, McKinnon?
No, Clyde.
No, Clyde.
Okay.
I think Isaiah Pacheco is, if you've seen that man run, I think the Chiefs see the same thing I do. He runs extremely hard.
Explosive.
Yeah, it's like he's fiery. He sparks. He's like a definition of a spark plug in my eyes. He like every single time he gets like a 4-yard run, the dude's out here, he's just like pointing. And I'm like, bro, like you didn't even get a first down, but but he's ecstatic, and I just think that like he's a great addition to that team, and I think he's gonna add like that emotion, that care. I think they're gonna want that in Kansas City. So I see high production. Rashad White, 50-50. If Lenny takes the run, what can you do? There's not much you can do about that. But
And
I think
Austin,
Rashawn
how
White's
much are
legit.
you willing to? Oh, I was gonna say, how much are you willing to pay if to get like a guy like Isaiah Pacheco? Like, how much are you willing to trade right now? Because the trade deadline's, I think, coming up right now, right? Pretty
Mhm.
much this week or next week for most leagues.
I think he's at a good point right now. He hasn't really proven himself more than just 1 week, so I think you can get him for a steal, maybe like a low flex, maybe even a guy on your bench, because most guys are overlooking Isaiah Pacheco right now. So I think you could get away with maybe like trading away like an Adam Thielen kind of guy, or like somebody who hasn't performed to the likings that you want. You could probably get him because,
Odell.
well, no, because OBJ probably will
Oh,
be
people
ready.
like him.
Still a lot of uncertainty there.
He might actually end up playing by playoff time, so I wouldn't sell him too early. But that's my
Yeah, so
predictions.
we got Keenan Allen, Isaiah Pacheco, Amari Cooper, and then Cade. Who's yours?
I think I'm just gonna mention two here just because it's tough for me to pick. I think Najee Harris. I think once we talked about him and I saw his remainder of his schedule, I think we've gone through the kind of just sleepiness phase of him in a way, and then I think he might boom here at the end of the year. Like I was talking about earlier, I think he's going to be good for 15 to 18 points every week, and start really putting on a show to close out the year. I think if you can hold on, if you've been holding on to him, I think he's going to be worth it. Probably be. I mean, I'm advocate for RB2 for sure, and then I mean, if you can put him in a flex and you have other strong running backs, I think he's a great flex option. I think he's going to be heavily involved in the Pittsburgh offense. So I think I would go with him on that. And then I was maybe going to mention Chris Olave for New Orleans.
Chris
I
Olave.
think as well.
Good one. I like that.
Yeah, I think for New Orleans, he's involved in their offense and just he's a good pass catcher. He's a good wide receiver. I mean, he's just a
That's
strong
rookie.
player. Yeah,
I'm trying to trade for him.
I was trying to trade for him, I think, last week before this week, and I think I probably won't get him after he put up 21. So I think I like him a lot too. Either one of those guys, it's hard for me to choose.
Josh and I were freaking screaming for Green Bay to draft him, and hope they did it.
Mm-hmm. He looks good.
My trade I proposed to this guy was Jimmy Garoppolo and Alan Lazard for Chris Olave.
If I had Chris
That's actually not
Olave, I would
terrible.
tell you to kick rocks. I
But
personally
this
would.
guy,
Chris
who's
Olave.
his quarterback is Trevor Lawrence, though.
I'd still take Trevor Lawrence and Chris Olave over Alan Lazard and Jimmy G personally too.
Really? Okay, yeah, maybe I'm a bozo.
You're not a bozo. I
We
just
need to
think that.
remind you guys that.
Well, tell me what you think about this trade. And he did accept it. Is I got Keenan Allen for Cordell Patterson and Raheem Mostert.
I love
I
that
like-
trade. Cordero
Yeah, I
doesn't.
think
Keenan
it's
Allen.
pretty solid.
Cordero upset me to the highest degree without putting up production against the Bears, and Raheem
Same here,
Mostert is
dude.
a number 2
He's
now.
dead to me.
So
Did you get points for that kick return?
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
get 6
I was
points.
like, good.
for
I was
kick
like, that
returns.
would suck.
But yeah, he still only had like what was it like? Not even 10 points or something. Maybe around 10 points. I don't even know.
I want to throw in that I think Cade has predicted the best two in the last two. I think Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson are two phenomenal picks to come up with from
One,
tight ends.
especially.
Yeah, I like that. I think Chris Olave really is a fantasy winner. He's been consistent this entire year, and I gotta give praise where praise is due. And that's
Go
it.
get Juwan Johnson. That dude's gonna win someone a championship because there are no tight ends out there. He's putting up double digits.
He's
last
been
few weeks.
stellar. We were talking about Greg Dulcich, but he simmered out so fast. But Juwan
Yeah,
Johnson,
he did.
I swear, Andy Dalton targets Juwan Johnson in the red zone higher than like anybody else on that team. I wish I had like next gen stats to prove that, but I feel like that's actually some truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's it for the Q&A. That's all the questions. We only had 5 this week.
Perfect.
But
That was awesome.
you guys submit them. We'll have more next week.
You guys submit them.
Sir.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good summary. Good time to wrap it up. Give a little foreshadowing for the next week. We'll talk about our booms and busts and our waiver wires from this week and talk about their performances. We'll talk about a recap of the weekend. Talk about guys you should sought after. Since actually, well, this is the end. Since the trade deadline is mainly ending in most leagues, we're not going to really be able to talk about potential trades. But we'll talk about waiver wire pickups, booms and busts for the future week, and then talk about what you could possibly do to strengthen and then start and sits. So if you guys have anybody who is in a tough position with start and sits, let's try to get those comments to kind of implement into the Q&As. Other than that, do you guys have any other wrapping final points?
I guess, just one last thing. How are you guys doing in your leagues, just like your record was? Are you guys, like your top league, your favorite one? Are you guys looking like you have a shot to win it all? Record?
Yes. I guess I'll start. I'm 8-3 in one of them, and I think I'm sitting at second just because of points scored. Austin was teasing me earlier, I think before we started recording, that he's coming for me. But I don't think he really has a chance. So,
Agreed.
Yeah. So, looking good in that one. I'm the most excited for. A lot of the other ones haven't quite worked out. One of the dynasty ones I'm building for the future in that one. So, but yeah, I'm excited for this one.
I'll let you guys.
Austin,
I'm gonna finish because mine's gonna be a lot to talk about.
Okay, Josh, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think I'm 8-3 in the league that we're in now, Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm taking that one. I think it will be a good battle though in the playoffs. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident about that team. I got Tyreek Hill. I just got Jamar Chase back. Running backs are Saquon and Josh Jacobs. I got Jeff Wilson in the flex. Pretty solid team. And then my other team, I'm like, what am I like? I think I'm 5-6, or would it be 5-7 now?
5-6.
5-6. Yeah, I'm 5-6, and I don't feel super confident about that team, but
Neither.
but you know, I don't know. My first pick in that, I had the second pick this year in that league, and I got Najee Harris, and he's not even on my team anymore. So that's how my league. That's how that league's going. And then I have another league that I'm also 8-3 in, with another group of friends that I have, and that league is pretty good. There's one dude that's undefeated in it. But yeah, so I think that he'll probably take it. I mean, his team is just stacked head to toe. So
All right, I'll make mine quick. I'm in 3 leagues and I'm 7-4 in all 3. And the league that I'm in with Josh, I did not see him taking it. I checked what Josh is projected for this week. It's like 117. I'm projected 138, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have like a bunch of stars on my team, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's like they never.
Aaron Rodgers a quarterback. I wouldn't feel too good about that.
Well, I think I just put him on the bench actually.
I told you can have Jalen or you can have Justin. You just gotta send me over Tyreek.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
No, it was. I was gonna also throw in Godwin, but he's not gonna do it. So he's gonna suffer with no quarterback.
Nah, who did
I got Deshaun Watson too.
I forgot who I put in that league. I want to say I got Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy G.
I picked up all the quarterbacks in that league, so Josh couldn't have a quarterback. Because I know that's all he needs to win.
That's honestly a good strategy. I won't take away from that. I love Josh is just having some iPhone troubles going on.
Someone's trying to call me.
And his real quick, his team name is We're Dead.
And it's the sad Packers Pepe fraud.
Yeah.
All right, to wrap it up, I just got knocked down in my guillotine league because my team.
Oh no!
My team of all stars played like straight dog shit last week.
Yeah,
I
all
have
the stars played terrible last week.
I have no words to describe other than I'm disappointed and I moved on. But addressing all my other leagues, the Dynasty League, I've never seen like an easier win in my life. Like I have that, like I have the bag and it's strapped over, it's mine. However, just
Can we
because I
clip
said that, yeah, just because I said that, the fantasy gods are going to absolutely destroy me. So it was fun while it lasted. 13-1's gonna look
Guess
cool.
who gets to play him this week?
You? Are you playing me?
I do.
That's
I play you in the
barbecue.
Dynasty League.
Literally barbecue chicken.
Your Josh Allen bus is gonna run all over you.
Anywho, I'm winning that league. I'm 8-3 in another league. I'm honestly, it's a really tight race. I think I'm probably just gonna lose because his team is stacked, but I'm gonna put up a good fight. In the other league that I'm 7-4 with Cade, I'm gonna chase his ass down and I'm winning that league. I know that for a fact.
No.
Cade's literally the epitome of barbecue chicken in that league, and I'm hunting him down. It's gonna be free. And then Little
Nah.
Eskin, the other kid who's leading, not even a worry. I'm taking this shit. In my
His team's
ESPN
low-key
league,
stacked.
huh?
His team's low-key stacked.
It is, but I'm not afraid of it. My boys are gonna show up.
You and Dak got nothing.
Me and Dak are winning it all. Anywho, my ESPN league, I'm 6-5. My starting quarterback Tom Brady. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm fucked. I don't know how I'm 6-5. My running backs and receivers are all top 10, but my quarterback just sucks so much ass. It's amazing to me. But yeah, that's my fantasy outlook. Yeah.
Well,
So,
that's pretty much it, right?
Yes, sir.
we appreciate all 0 viewers that stopped in. And hopefully anybody's able to watch the VOD and or tune in. But next week I'll make sure to promote it, get some more publicity out. Try to promote it to you guys, to your guys' buddies or anything, just so we can get some sort of viewership to build off of. But
TikTok clip. That's how we're gonna build.
yeah, I need to talk to Griff about getting some clips out there on YouTube and on Twitch. So I'll shoot him a text this upcoming weekend. Hopefully he's able to get some clips out from this, and I promise the audio is going to be at least good enough to sustain clips from. Other than that, it's been a pleasure, boys.
Sure.
And let's aim to
Happy
meet.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Let's try to meet Tuesday. I know that's a weird one, but let's meet before waivers on Tuesday. Let's try to do
Sounds good.
Can we do it earlier than? Can we do it at 7, Josh? Can you eat dinner just a little bit earlier than 7?
Yeah, I can try to.
Cool.
He goes
I'll
out
do
to
my
dinner.
very best.
Okay, let's aim for 8 Tuesday next week. Can it,
8?
Yes. Is that? I just want to get a consensus now.
That's good for me.
You're good. I'll be back in Colorado.
But Josh, 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 works for me. I usually don't get off work till 6, so I mean that's why I usually eat dinner at 7.
Okay.
It's just how it be.
Cool. All right. Well, at least I've insured 4 people that might be there. Let's see if I can get all of us to show up for a Tuesday. That'll be a record.
It'll be a miracle.
All right.